somebody here where you can get started and plan properly, because one thing I've learned is the year gets busy very quickly. And if you don't plan properly, you'll see that like you're just in I don't know if it's survival, but like you're kind of playing catch up all the time. And I think like January is quite critical. So myself and my team, we're really pushing to make sure that we get all the planning out of the way in January. And then we have a much better year. Tamara, sorry, I see a lot of people are trying to sign in. So let me see if I can help with admitting them. Bear with me 1 second. I think we're okay. I think everybody's in. Cool. Well, thank you for making time for us. I know you're busy, and I remember when I reached out, you had the workshops ongoing. So I'm super grateful that you made time for us. The reason why I thought you're probably the best person to essentially help us with like what we're running, which is fundraising readiness, is because you've many hats over the past couple of years. And I think your day-to-day is heavily all about helping founders. So I thought that you're probably the best person to essentially help us. This is part 3 of fundraising readiness. We started with storytelling, and then we talked about like the tips and tricks of fundraising with Solomon King last week. The first session was with PC Timmy from a founder's perspective, and then we spoke with Solomon from an investor perspective. We wanted to speak to you from somebody who kind of like support founders and somebody who can give them practical tips as they're thinking about fundraising. I'm not sure if people even know what due diligence is, what is a data rooms, what a data room is, blah, blah. There's so many like terms that maybe you and I take for granted, but maybe not everybody really understand. I'm gonna try to keep this session. I think this is the most talking I'm going to do. So please bear with me. I'll try to keep the session under an hour. But the purpose is like hopefully hear from you. We sent you a couple of questions. I'm gonna go straight into it if that's okay. Does that work?
Sure, that's fine. That works good.
Actually, maybe not. Let me see. We have 17 people. So I've got 2 asks for people in the room. If you attended any of our previous sessions, please give me a thumbs up. Just use the okay, two people. Okay, that's good. If you missed the 3, we have the recordings on YouTube, so you can catch up. So that it's not so like it's not disjointed. And then one thing that I like to do with folks is I like to know where people are dialing in from. I think it always helps with just getting a sense of like who's in the room, where you're dialing in, and hopefully, you can find this session helpful. So please use the comment section and you can add your city, country, where you're dialing in from. That'd be super useful. Maybe I can start. I am in London for my sins in the cold. Yeah, I'd love to hear from other folks. Yeah, Tamara, thank you for joining me. For people who don't know you, can you maybe just tell them who you are and what you do? I think that'll help.
All right. Thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks for having me. My name is Tamara Posibi. So over the past 8 years, I've led an advisory supporting startups, right? Really from the ideation to execution stage. We also really help them with fundraising support because we realize that yes, a lot of founders need money to grow, funds to raise funds and to expand and things like that, right? And we noticed that gap where it was like they didn't know how to go about things, they didn't know what it was. So we did a lot of upskilling in-house. I got on a couple of VC fellowships also, just really to get that domain expertise. And we've been able to support a lot of founders from their, from their beginning stages to their first raise. Recently had an Ugandan recently, I think that was last month or last 2 months. We had an Ugandan startup that was looking to raise funds, and we did all the support and back team, and they raised $1 million in San Francisco. So we have very many good success stories like that. So the story and the good thing for me is that the founder is able to have the successful raise, and it's on terms that is also beneficial for them, right? They can get to do what they need to do with that money. You're
I,
muted.
I don't know why
Okay.
I'm muting myself. Yeah, that's great. And I think that's, these stories will help because I feel like many founders, when they go into that fundraising, call it dark room, they just don't know. And you quickly start hearing terms like data room and due diligence. For me, I was very lucky that before I became a founder, I, deployed capital. So I was somehow on the right side of the table and I was the one asking the questions. But I mean, for you, seeing so many startups and companies from like an angel, a founder, an advisor, which you do actively, what's the fastest, probably quickest way for you to know that, a founder is not ready to raise?
A lot of times it's first of all, they've not gotten the basics right in-house, right? They're actually, especially on the early stage, right? Almost all founders believe that they need to raise money immediately. No, but you need to get things like revenue right. You need to get things like your customers right. You need to get a hold on your traction first, right? So start with those basics first. I've seen money deployed too early that kind of wrecks the business model in the sense that the founders they don't know how to even close deals with customers. They don't know how to provide support to their customers, right? Just felt, oh, founders, I got investor funds, right? So get the basics right first, right? Have your business up and running, right? Serve your customers, figure out product market fit and all those things. Do all those things properly first, right? Then you begin to see the need for a raise. So really, I see this a lot in my line of work, and I'm always telling the founder, please just go back and figure out your business model properly first. Get your customers first, get revenue, right? Get traction first, right? Then we can talk about it fundraising in a couple of months.
Hmm. So what I'm hearing is for like oftentimes founders are not, they don't have the right prerequisite to start fundraising. Am I right to say that?
Yes, they are not ready. They don't have that yet. They need to figure out their business first, right? A lot of times that's the case.
Okay, and that's very useful. So let's say that the founder went back, did all the work, they have some traction, they have a product on the market, and they now want to raise some capital. Um, Historically, they say, hey, you have a conversation with the VC. VC is like, yes, we like you. Now let's proceed to due diligence. One investor said they're due diligence. Like, what are they actually checking for beyond the obvious things like the pitch deck that they've already seen? They're looking at your CSA certificate, your incorporation documents, the demo. Like, what are they really looking for when they say they want to see your your due diligence, or they want to go into your data room?
Okay, so a lot of things you want to check out for, right? Especially as investors. First thing is domain expertise. I'm just also talking about things from the lens of an investor who's deployed a few checks myself, right? I want
Mhm.
to see that you have, that there's the right team. You have the right team actually working on this project in the first place, right? So I want to check for domain expertise. I want to check that you have proper systems in place. For instance, now, I mean, how your employees compensated, right? Those are little things that don't a lot of people don't know, or they don't know they should put it in their data room, but you should find it. Let's know how your employees have been compensated so far. Let's see your founders agreement. That needs to be tight because in this industry, I've seen quite a lot of startups that have issues, and it's not even money. It's not them. Their startup is not dying because of money, but even just things like co-founder conflicts, right? So I
Mm.
want to see that hold on that there's a tight system in place and everyone is, quite comfortable with the agreement. That's important. I also want to see things like contracts. How your current contract with your customers, right? Do you have those things in place? I want to be sure that this is a business that's actually up and running, right? Then I can look at, let's see, the need for a cash flow, the need for cash injection, rather, excuse me, right? So I want to see those things, right? I want to see that you're making money, right? So things like statements, please add them, proper statements, properly vetted, audited statements, add those things as well. Those are, I mean, aside from things like pitch decks, investment memos, your financial model, which is really how your business is running numbers. Aside from those things, right, these are things that a lot of founders tend to miss also.
Yeah, I remember when I was raising my pre-seed, I did not have, I mean, I had my founder's agreement, but then we had to make a lot of changes to it. And it was one of the most frequently requested documents from investors. And the other thing is like, I remember when I went out to raise my pre-seed, I completely forgot that changed when it comes to traction. And a lot of investors, like, we want to essentially authenticate the revenue that you've made versus like what you're claiming to have made. So like it helps that I trained as an accountant, so I was able to put this together very quickly. Um, but let me see. For like, I've taken a couple of notes here. I've got things like having a team, having the founders agreement, having your statements. But if you were to kind of rank these things, like what are the top three things investors expect to see in a data room? If it was just three that you think a lot of founders just completely miss out.
Okay. First of all, I would say the statements, the money. I mean, show me the money. Let me see how far you've gone with that. And because in this ecosystem, you see a lot of things. Like, see people cooking books, people claiming revenue that has never been made, right? So you wanna get a good handle and be sure that this money coming. Even don't try to embellish things,
Mm,
right? Use that to make a case as to why you need that money, right? So tell things as it is. Let's see good financial records. There's no investor that is not happy to see good financial records. So the money first, then secondly, that agreement, the co-founder, because we've seen lots. I mean, Joe, in this industry, we've seen lots of startups that have raised money, millions of dollars, and you are finding out why they clashed, and it's a co-founder conflict.
yeah.
It's bringing a new partner on board that disrupted things. Is one co-founder not being satisfied with the agreements and all that they have in place, right? And things just crashing, right? So I want to see that is tight. That is tight. That everyone is happy with the agreement and see that they're actual co-founders and not people just brought on board to embellish things. So that's also a thing, right? I want to see proper structure, right?
Mm.
So I also want to see proper structure as well. So I mean, those, and in terms of priority, those would be my priority.
Yeah, I think I've seen my fair share of things falling off because like founders conflicts. I think it's ranked as number two in terms of why companies fail after lack of money. So I think that that should be a non-negotiable for all founders. Um, a lot of founders, when they're going out to raise money, they have everything and then they still don't end up raising the money. Like, uh, how often does call it? I want to use the term disorganization. How often do you see that killing deals? Like when founders are just not, they're not well equipped, or they have things all over the place. They're not like, one thing I like is when I'm doing DD or when I was doing DD, I want to see like everything. I want the founder to make my life easier. Have you seen instances where founders are just very disorganized and that essentially just makes them lose deals? Any examples?
I mean, yes, in my line of work, I've seen quite a bit, and that's why they brought me on board to work with them,
Mm,
right? So I tell founders this, especially I tell my founders, that, look, your VC also raised money. You need to
mm,
understand that your VC also raised money, right? So they raised it from family offices, institutional investors. They also raised money. And if they are looking to raise in a certain sector, you are not the only startup they are looking out in that sector. I always tell them that. So they cannot, even if they are the only ones, I always tell them that you're not the only ones most times. So they know that, look, you are also competing for that capital in every
yeah,
way that you can. Right. So what you should be doing is making sure things are organized. Pay for the expertise, right? Have a good lawyer, not just a lawyer, generic lawyer, but have someone who understands venture capital, venture, like a good VC lawyer. That's very important because I've noticed that a lot of founders do not really understand the difference, right? Because there's a lot of lingo in this ecosystem, right?
Mhm.
And if you're not with the right leaders, things can go all right for you. So
Yeah.
just make sure you have that on board. Be as organized as possible. Bring experts to come on board. Expert accountants, people that can help you arrange things, that can help you have sort out your books, right? And the thing with organization is it doesn't start the day you want to raise. No, it starts from the day
Mhm.
you actually start that company, right? You should be having a hold on your finances or financials from day one. You should be
Yeah.
tracking things. You should be tracking your data, right? So that when even you want to raise in the future, even if you don't want to raise, just having these things properly organized already puts you in a good position. So it's
Mhm.
not when you want to raise that you have those things organized. You should have them from day one. Right. If talent is an issue or raising or hiring staff is an issue, do things part-time. Have part-time accountants that get those things done for you. Have your books properly done from day one. So you don't have to be so disorganized and like, oh, we are scrambling for things, at the time when you need to fundraise, right? So have those things done. Right. Because yes, of course, organization also causes things, and like I said, I tell my founders, you're not the only startup they're looking at. So if you're already giving them issues at this stage, you are not making a case for yourself, right? So yeah.
I think I feel like everybody I bring here, while this is for like everybody else, I think a lot of the advice is for me. So I'm really benefiting from this. One thing that I struggled with back early in the days was again lack of organization. But then as I was fundraising, I realized that okay, I had to stop the fundraising, go get organized, and then come back because like everything was all over the place. I had to get my accounts filed. And now I think if I was to go back to raise again, I think I will be in a much better position in the sense that I think that I've already filed my accounts for 2020 for last year, which is great. And I'm becoming more preemptive rather than just be reactive. Okay, we need this, so you have to go sort it out. I mean, when you talk about the VC asset class, you have different levels. Like you have a pre-seed, seed, series A. Like, is there a difference in terms of like what sort of data room you should have depending on the stage that you're raising at? And like, how should founders be thinking about this? Like, if you're doing a series A, my expectation is your data room should be different from when you're raising your first family and friends. So, like, do you have any insight on that, depending on the stage that or like even if it's not a VC deal, like should the data room vary or should it be the same thing across the board?
All right. Thanks a lot for that question, Joe. So the expectation is as you've matured, right? Things are bigger now, right? So of course your data room should be more expanded, right? I should not be looking at a scanty data room at Series A. That should maybe be coming by pre-seed, or even family and friends when you don't have anything yet. You're just trying to gather some funds to at least get going at the beginning. But if you have
Mm,
reached that stage of maturity, it should also reflect. So as things get bigger, excuse me, things like
gotcha.
employee contracts, things like the kind of partnerships, contracts that you have with maybe other companies, suppliers, all those kind of things, right? I'd put those things there, right? So yes, I'm expecting to see a much more mature data room, a much more expanded data room at those later stages because it's assumed that that stage that business has expanded and has grown, right? So yes, it should be
Uh,
different.
and I'm guessing that you don't only deal with like call it venture funded businesses, right? Do you like when a founder is getting ready to raise from the bank, for example, like is there a different way they should shape their data room, or should it be the same as raising for venture? Or have if
Okay.
examples in that, like for that particular use case? Because not every company is venture funded, right? Like some of
Yeah.
them take loan from the bank. Yes, interest rates are high, but not everybody is venture backable. So is there like any nuances there from like where they like depending on where the money is coming from?
All right. Thanks a lot for that question. So what I would say is that the level of organization and all of that is the same because at the end of the day, what's a data room? Data room is really where your investor can go see all the details, right?
Mhm.
And so the level of organization, what you're putting in, your financials, things like having your financials tracked from day one, for instance, right? That still remains the same. Right. So I mean, for things like venture, I mean, for things like maybe if you want to raise debt, right? So a lot of information may not necessary because you are paying that money back, probably with some interest. So you may not need to have that in-depth data room, but your financials, that one transcends all kinds of all kinds of data. So if you're raising for venture, if you're raising for maybe raising debt, for instance, or convertible debt, for instance, you will still need that financials, you still need those things there. Right. But it's still not may not be as in-depth as venture because these guys are supposed to be coming on board with you to take a share of your company, right? In exchange for money. So a lot of more scrutiny may be done. Right. So
Yeah. Okay. And also one thing that I've been thinking about is like over maybe the past 10 years or so, we've seen a lot of foreign investors that have come to the continent trying to like they're all investing in different types of businesses. When founders are put together their data room, like is there any difference in the way you set up your data room for like a local investor, for example, versus the way you do it for, I don't know, like a Silicon Valley investor? And should founders like how should founders think about the profile of the investor or investors based?
honestly, based on what I've seen over the years, I would say that even local investors have sort of matured, especially
Hmm.
with exposure to, foreign capital and seeing how even other foreign companies are doing, foreign VCs are doing, right? So I would say that they've also matured in kind of expectations, right? So I wouldn't ideally make a difference. It's going to be the same thing at the end of the day because what the investor needs to look out, I mean, whether you're a local or international investor, you still want to see those things, right? So I've never really done it. And also, if you're raising from a lot of investors, right, it's just better to have everything instead of trying to tailor each data room to each person. Just have it all in one place, right? Yeah.
And who should be doing this work? I mean, us founders, right? Is this something that like the CEO should be doing? For example, like some companies have solo founders, some companies have multiple founders. Is this something that all of them should be working on if you have more than one founder? Or like should somebody own this entire process?
Okay. So I would say from also what I have seen and observed, I don't think it should just be one person. As a
Mm,
matter of fact, everyone on management should be on board. So your CFO should be bringing out the financials, right? Your operations should be doing those supply contracts, those external, your relationship with external bodies and all those things, right? So everyone should be involved. And as a good leader, right, you want to carry people along with decisions like this. Because when it comes to due diligence, it's not only the maybe CEO that's going to be interviewed or checked out. They're going to be checking out everybody, right? So it's nice to have that meeting with your team, talk about, oh, we are raising funds, we're preparing our data room, we need everyone's hand on board, and everyone is chipping in, right? So ideally not should be just one person, but should be an effort of the team.
mhm. Yeah, that's useful. I know we have quite a lot of founders on the call. Any questions? No, we don't have any questions in the comments, but oh, okay. Hi, Nate. Do you want to unmute, introduce yourself, and ask your question, please?
Hi, thank you very much, Joe. My name is Nate. I am building in the automotive space. Essentially, what we're building is a platform that covers vehicle lifetime cycle to make vehicle ownership stress-free for Africans. My question is, when it comes to data room, are we looking at just like your bank statement, or are we looking at audited accounts and a breakdown of revenue streams and those little details? With some clarity done by a professional.
Thanks a lot for that question. Yes, be as detailed as possible, right? So send what you have, right? It also shows organization on your own part and puts you in a good light when before they've asked for it, it's already there in the data room and everyone can see it. right? So yes, as much as possible, get a professional to work with you on that. But if you've also been doing all the work from day one, right? So before you even need to fundraise, these things will already be there. So if you can't get a professional, but with what you have, I mean, ideally too, if this is also a lesson to founders too, start doing that work, start tracking that data from day one, start getting your financials right from day one, so that it doesn't compound and give you stress much later. You just okay, yes, we're doing this, and this is we're presenting this to you. You just need someone to maybe do a bit of touch up on it, and it's in your data room.
If you don't mind me adding, Tamara, one of the things or one of the advice I've received is, especially from the financial perspective, is to have some sort of like accounting software. So like usually it makes it easier to just go download all your data instead of tracking it on Excel. And like the good thing with this accounting software is they plug into your bank app and they plug into like all the various systems that you use, which makes it very easy to download the data. And also for a lot of investors, if you're using an accounting software, they can probably trust you more in the sense that the accounting software is pulling the data, raw data from your bank, and it really helps with that trust part. Tamara, I know, like trust remains one of the big issues in our community. We've seen situations where people like faked documents. How Sorry, Nate, I'm just piggyback on your question. How can founders at least how can founders put their best foot forward from like just to be trusted by investors to make sure that like they're providing the right information? Like, is there anything that they can do at all beyond installing softwares like, I don't know, Zero or any accounting softwares out there?
Thank you, Joe, for this question. I would say, first of all, as a founder, come clean, be honest. Stop trying to cook books. I mean, and also if an expert eye will see when you're trying to cook books or trying to inflate numbers and you're like, okay, this doesn't add up, and you're already losing trust. So come
Mhm.
clean that this is how far we've gone. And use that to even make if you're not confident about the numbers yet, use that to make a case as to why you need some, a cash injection would really help you move things along.
Mhm.
Right. So trust, do whatever you can, being as honest and as as deliberate as possible helps you build that trust. People like to cook numbers a lot, but I mean, if you are working with an expert diligence team, trust me, you already flagged as high risk, and that investment will likely not move forward.
Yeah, no, I think like honesty beats everything, and I completely agree with you. I think like even if they, 'cause I think a lot of founders try to kind of make their business look better than it is, and I think that's investors like if somebody want to invest in your company, they will invest in your company, and I think at that early stage, it's not just they're not looking at the numbers, right? They're probably looking at you as the founder. I mean, at
Yeah.
some stage, they're looking at the numbers, like when you go past that seed stage. But I know that a lot of investors at that early stage are not really paying attention to the numbers. They're looking at the potential that where your company can go. Thank you, Nate, for that question. Marvelous. Over to you.
Okay, hi Tamara, hi Joe. So from your work with founders scaling across borders, what's the earliest credibility signal that tells you a company is truly ready for international partnerships or not just interested in them?
Can you share your question again, please, so I can follow?
All right. So from your work with founders scaling across borders, right?
Okay.
What's your earliest credibility signal that tells you, okay, this company is ready for international partnerships? This one is not ready for international partnerships. They're just interested in it. Was that
Okay.
clear enough?
Thank you. So I think you're asking. Okay, so if I can get you, I think you're asking from an international partnership perspective, not necessarily a fundraise, just to confirm.
Yes, because we're looking to scale internationally, and I just want to know from that point of view, what really shows that okay, we're credible enough to start having international partnerships, and we're not just interested in having them, we're ready.
Okay, thanks a lot for this question. I think it's an important question. And this goes beyond, I mean, for especially for an international partnerships point of view, right? This just even goes beyond having a data room and all of those kind of things, right? So I think previous speakers on board have also spoken about things like storytelling, building your personal brand. So a strong brand would also help you move things along when it comes to, being ready for international partnerships, right? Also, readiness of the team. Are you ready to take on that partnership? And what's in it? Because there's something I taught my founders in my workshop, which just concluded yesterday, right? I told her that there's a principle called "What's in it for me," right? So when you're coming to on stage, or when you're coming to the table looking for partnerships, right? What are you also delivering to the other party? What's your end game for the other party, right? So look at that as well. Look at kind of value exchange that will possibly be going on, and just be sure, right? So number one, have your strong brand, right? That of course you can scale internationally. Secondly, look at how well, like what kind of value you can offer to the other end of the table. So it's a mutually beneficial partnership. Look, I've seen partnerships that the founders just started putting out feelers maybe years before that. And yeah, the deal took 5 years, but they had that international partnership, right? So what's in it for the other party, right? Check that out. Then secondly, thirdly, you also have to be sure that you are ready. Because we've seen a lot of things where opportunities are coming on board, but the team is not exactly ready for that. So be sure that those things are also in place. Sure that you are ready as well for the partnership. I hope this answers your question, Marvelous.
Yes, thank you, Tamara.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Marvelous. Tamara, with your permission, I wanted to add that, like, also just awareness of the markets that you are expanding into. I think that helps a lot. And if these partners know that you're fully aware of these new markets, they'd be excited to work with you. Thank you, Marvelous. Great to see you again. Hi, Chris. I had to caveat that Chris is an investor. So, Chris, over to you.
Ah, hi. I was actually number two on the queue, so
Oh,
and I'm multitasking.
let me say, it was Marvelous who just finished. So,
Oh, okay. All right, okay. It was
yeah.
still showing as number two, so I thought maybe there was a number one. I was multitasking, eating my lunch in between, so it's lunch at this time. But I'm used to it. Thanks, Joe, for the intro, and hi, Tamara. Um, I think I just wanted to kind of first off support part of what Tamara is saying. I mean, my background is corporate, and I do a lot of extensive due diligence because, we invest quite substantial sums. And just, especially for those founders, as Tamara mentioned, that tend to want to, inflate receipts and things like that, just for them to be aware that part of due diligence process is we actually contact your customers, and make inquiries of you. And we say to them, well, you know they've said to us that you bought products, or you were offered services worth X amount and things like that, and we're able to sort of get those numbers, and they say, oh no, we never did a million, or we never even dealt with them yet. So I think that that's very crucial for founders, in terms of kind of building trust, and not embellishing, certain transactions, or whereby you just actually started conversation around having a pilot, but you kind of make it sound like you've already commenced the pilot. And then when we reach out to them, they say, we just got an email from them last week asking if we can do X, Y, Z. So, and we've not even gone back to them. So I think that, these are little things that it just makes you like, okay, it tells, a tons about that. So that's on the one hand. And then just on the second hand is also when it comes to the due diligence bit, because again, I come from a corporate background, you know what we say about if you say something is everyone's job, then it's actually nobody's job. So it's always good to have a lead for every sort of, whether you call it a work stream or a task. So you've got a lead, and that lead sort of coordinates everything. So it's an efficient process, whether you've got a bucket list or a checklist, and then, it's sort of programmable. You want to achieve this by this time and that time. And whether that lead is the founder himself, or he gets someone to kind of lead it whilst he owns the overall project, essentially. So he will still be the accountable person, but then getting someone to lead it makes sure that there's someone we can tie activities to, we can hold for accountability, and then that sort of makes things happen quickly. So yeah, that's really my 2 pence contribution there.
That's amazing. Thank you very much, Chris. We have one and one last person who is Wheezy. Hey, Wheezy.
Yeah, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Tamara. Nice to see you. Nice to see you, Joe. So I have two questions. My first question is around founders having a strong bargaining chip. Because with respect to where we come from, lots of founders are quite desperate sometimes for money and everything. So what metrics in a startup, Tamara, are important for a founder to consider such that he or she is in a strong position when investors are negotiating for equity stake in whatever seed round and everything? That's the first question. Then the second question is just a general question about the total addressable markets in Nigeria and Africa, and what verticals, because just because something works in a first world country doesn't mean to work in your country. Okay, maybe you may need to do some tweaking and all that, but in your perspective, what sectors do you feel are pragmatic for founders to target and try to solve problems in? Thank you.
Sorry, that second question is a little bit open-ended. Can you rephrase it and make it shorter, Wheezy?
Help us streamline it, please.
Yes. It's very vague, the last question.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Okay. Africa is a frontier market.
Mhm.
So when it comes to, opportunities for innovation, what verticals, in our economy do you think founders should be a lot more intentional in solving problems in? I don't know if it's too still big.
Yeah, Tamara, I have a view on this. And I think it's
Okay.
kind of be obvious for everybody. I think that anything that's happening online is a very big enough market if you want to sell Pan-African, in the sense that the internet doesn't have borders, right? And when you look at companies, any company that is powering the digital economy, like the Paystack and I don't know, like the Smile ID, anybody who's powering the digital economy are doing very. So that's why Paystack, Flutterwave, I think Seller, they're all doing pretty well. Readiness. So the world has technically moved online. It doesn't mean that it's the only thing that's happening, but anything that's happening online, there's no borders. But you'd be surprised that things that happen online also are probably bound to regulatory approval, etc. But generally, it's much easier to sell online these days than to, try to ship clothes from Lagos to Benin or Lagos to Cameroon, because it's just there's so many roadblocks, literally and figuratively. I think digital is the way forward, and anybody who's building for digital space is going to do well. And the good news is you're not restricted to Africa. You can sell to anybody in the world, and that's the beauty of it. Tamara, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think what you said, you've summed it all. Because if you have maybe digital products, for instance, you're not restricted by things like market size, right? Because you can have that skill to other markets, right? Companies like Seller, for instance, they're not just serving just maybe Nigeria, they're serving other markets as well. So what I would say is when it comes to looking for find things that you can sell to the world. You can literally build for the world, depending on how good your product is. So don't restrict yourself to okay, this is what investor, because there's also another danger I see a lot of founders make. And this is your last question, maybe. I see a lot of founders trying to build for investors, trying to build for what investors will be looking at. Look, that's not a sustainable way to build a business, especially if you want to be in this for the long term. You don't want to do that. Build something, build your strong brand, and you are in a good position. Okay, and also to your first question as to what really helps with a bargaining chip. Something I always tell my founders is a good deal is one that you can easily walk away from. And it sounds very controversial, right? Because they're like, what do you mean you want to walk away from it? But if you don't feel like you cannot walk away, if you don't feel like there are terms that terms that don't work for you, you can walk away. Right? Don't be scared, because I've seen some kind of term sheet and I'm wondering to myself, who advised this founder? How will you take on terms like this? You've literally signed your company away, right? So be willing to walk away. Right, let that be your bargaining chip. Secondly, build things like making sure your revenue is tight. Right. I always really like business. I always root for founders that have found product market fit, found ways to solve people's problems with tech and with other tools, which is called tech is an enabler, right? Right. And able to solve problems and get money in return. I always root for founders like that. Right. So be in a good position yourself, right? So you can see terms and decide to walk away, right? I hope this helps. And also, last thing, build your brand. That's something I tell a lot of founders. Building your brand is so important, especially in this day and age. It helps you with customers, helps you investors, just helps you with everything. So make sure you are building a solid brand as you are building your startup. I hope this helps.
Yeah, Tamara, I think that's like one thing we've seen at our syndicate Hoke is any company that is cash flow positive, we take a breather. What that means is like even if you don't raise money, they will remain in business. And I think companies that can make more money every month that they're spending, they have very strong bargaining power with any investor anywhere in the world. Because even if they don't get that money, like as Tamara said, you can just walk away and your business will keep running. You don't want to be desperate, be at the mercy of investors, and if they don't give you money, you can shut down your company. So I hope that's super useful. Thank you, Wheezy. Nate, I'm going to skip you because you've already asked a question. I'm conscious of time. We've got 15 minutes. I'm going to go to Uche and then go to Prudence. And if we have time, I'll come to you. I hope you don't mind. Uche, over to you.
Yes. Good evening, Tamara and Joe. Hope you guys are having a beautiful evening. My name is Uche Omodu. I'm one of the co-founders of Yatso. Yatso is the easiest way to sell anything online, using the marketplace and the sharing of links. So I have just one question. I think this is for Joe and Tamara. I would love your inputs on this. So I'm currently reading Pre-Seed, and the general advice I'm hearing, or the consensus I'm hearing, is VCs are usually not interested in pre-seed companies, and we should target angel investors more compared to established VCs and a lot of things. Like, it's like, especially because you're coming from Africa and things like that. So I would say it's been at the back of my mind, and I would say it's kind of internalized a bit. I just want to discuss this and actually hear from people who have a ton more experience than me and have skin in the game, so I can actually get feedback for this.
That's an interesting question. Okay.
I like the way the both of us are making faces. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Do you want to go for it? Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, I think
I can take this one.
So. Like the world has changed a bit. Actually, not a bit, a lot, in the sense that the metrics that pre-seed investors were looking for has dramatically changed. when I started investing, like pre-seed meant that you have a brilliant idea, you have a nice pitch deck, and you're looking to get that product off the ground. And then when I became a founder, I still kept that in my head, except when I went out to raise my pre-seed, all the investors were asking, okay, Joe, what have you built? And I'm like, you need to give me the money so that I can go build things. So the world has changed quite a bit, but that does not mean that you will not get capital to fund your company and the pre-seed. I have raised the pre-seed primarily from angel investors, but I have at least one fund that gave me money, and then I got like a scout fund that gave me money. The part that a lot of people don't talk about is there's a lot of scout funds out there. So you have big funds that have scouts, and they essentially write you like a 25K check. I think more founders need to look out for these scouts, because these scouts, they just want to know that you're brilliant and they'll give you money. That was my case. But yes, the bar has shifted. It does not mean that pre-seed investors no longer exist. It's just that the requirements are different. That's it. I don't know, Tamara, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just to add, Uche, build your startup, right? Spend more time also building your startup. Spend more time. Remember what I shared earlier about a deal? Be in a position where you can easily walk away from any deal. Build your brand, work on those things, right? And try as much as possible not to internalize what people say. Because something I've seen a lot of founders try to do, right? Things are different. Right. There are some startups today that they say you want to raise. Investors will fall over themselves to put a check in. It is what it is. Right. So get yourself to those stages. Leave whatever people are saying. Continue to build. And don't just build, like, because I've seen a lot of founders that do this. Very brilliant founders, and I'm wondering what's going on. And like, if you don't have a brand, invest in that. I believe one of some of the wonderful speakers that have come before me have shared about this. Go and watch their YouTube. Go and watch what has been said, right? Build that brand, craft a narrative, do your storytelling, right? So you are in the best position, right? But don't say, oh, that people are not looking. You can raise your PC if you want to.
Yeah, I know this is supposed to be people asking the questions, but I think Tamara and I have a lot to say. Like, one of the things I did over the past 12 months or so is really build my brand. Like, I was the quiet guy, but now I'm no longer quiet. And that really helped with my pre-seed. Really helped with my pre-seed. It also helps that, like, my product helps founders and investors. So, like, I've seen a lot of investors use my product and reached out to me like, oh, I'm looking to invest. I'm like, no, I'm not fundraising. So, like, that brand building, we don't talk about it enough. And the episode that Tamara's talking about is one session I did with PCTME. Please go watch it. Like, the storytelling, how you position yourself. Your fundraising has started a couple of months before even people get a pitch deck. Like, my fundraising has started and I don't have a pitch deck. So build your brand, tell your story, and let people know that you're a founder that's worked back in. Prudence, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe. Thank you so much. And Tamara, nice to meet you. Really, really great knowledge. Like, I felt like I should be writing this, right? But yes, 2 questions. So speaking of due diligence, when you have your data room, like I use Google Drive, right? So we've done our pre-seed friends, family, angel. We're looking into a seed round. So at what stage should you, if the investor doesn't have a standard procedure, at what stage should you add potential investors to the data room? Because you don't want to have 10 investors that just say, I like the idea, can I see some documents? And then you have people in there just going through stuff. Is there something that you can do to make sure that you're giving access to people that are actually serious about investing? What's your experience with that? The second question is on the branding part. So by branding, do you mean like being active on, say, LinkedIn, speaking events, networking events, telling your story at different fora? Or is there anything specific, like, Joe, what are you doing in terms of branding that we can learn from? Thank you. Oh, and sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. For Tamara's sake, Joe knows, but for Tamara, I'm one of the founders of Manja Health. So we are powering Africa's healthcare ecosystem by enabling hospitals and health service providers to get paid cross-border. So that's what we do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So there's this trick in house, and I'm interested. I mean, I'm going to expose my trick. What I do for our founders, right? I have them do 2 data rooms, as a matter of fact, right?
Okay.
And this also because yes, this also because in this ecosystem too, you also have to be careful about who you're taking money from, right? You don't want to
Exactly.
attract just any kind of investor because yes, there are unscrupulous elements. Also, in all honesty, I must be real with you as a founder, right? So I have everyone do 2. We have a preliminary
Uh-huh.
data room, so that's like interest gives just interesting info. If you want to find out more, if you want to get in just preliminary details, that's great. But then for the serious investors looking to write a check, that detailed data room goes. I'm going to share something I had happen one time, right? And it was quite unfortunate. And this is also why another tip I'm going to leave for founders here is do your research about any investor you're speaking to. Take advantage of founder forums, ask questions, don't raise in silos. Don't just raise, and I mean, if you're somewhere, you're not asking questions. Ask questions about the investors, right? I mean, I'm just going to share this, right? I had a founder that I had to come on board to mediate between that. The investor in quotes actually had invested in his competitor, and they were pretending to take meetings with this founder to just get details on what they were doing. It was insane, right? I mean, that's why I mentioned there are unscrupulous elements in this industry. And you also make sure that you are careful about kind of capital you are taking and you are careful, right? Ask questions, don't just raise in silos. So I always tell them that that's what I tell my founders, right? That's free info I've given to you guys that yeah, I do 2. I have them do 2. So I have one which is just the like a general front facing one, feels like a Trojan horse, if I may say that. That one just maybe has your pitch deck, your memos, all those things. But then behind this, I have the very detailed one, right? That we are showing to investors that are looking to put a check in, actual investors that has also been vetted, right? So I hope that answers your question, Prudence. That's for the first one.
Absolutely.
Then
Thank you.
secondly, yes, it's my pleasure. Then, secondly, I would say that brand building is all these things you've said, but you have to make sure that you are cohesive with your brand building. So it means you might be telling the same story in different platforms, but you are sharing the same story. Talk about your why. Talk about why you are doing this in the first place. Talk about the problem. Talk about what you are solving, right? So that you are not, but do it in concentrated platforms, right?
Did we
I
lose
think
Tamara?
about Borderless, right? I've been seeing those things. Yeah. Oh, did you?
We lost you for like 10 seconds.
Oh, okay. Oh, my apologies. I said, I don't know where you heard me last, just to confirm.
So you're talking about the brand building part, like being cohesive across all
Okay.
platforms.
Yeah, so be cohesive, share your story among different platforms. Let it be that wherever you are sharing your message. For instance, I've been seeing Joe's TikToks, right? Talking about borderless. I'm talking about these things, right? So talk about it, talk about the problem you're solving, your solutions, right? Don't think it's exhausting. Every single thing counts, right? So do those Twitter spaces if you need to, right? Do the press releases talking about your product. Look, press releases are so good. I always tell my founders, look, find a way to do a press release talking about it. Let the world know what you are building. Don't hide what you're doing, right? So things like that, right, help a lot with brand building.
Yeah. I think my takeaway from your question is to just be cohesive. And also, Prudence, I really encourage you to watch the video. We just posted a link in there. I think it'll be super dope. One thing I also wanted to add is we use this company called Pitchwise. It's actually a Swedish company by a guy, Gambian. Do check it out. We use it to issue all our investment updates, but it was actually designed for founders. So you can actually add all your data room in there. I just remembered.
I use Pitchwise as well.
Yeah, so like if anybody needs any discount to reach out, I think we have like a discount code. So happy to help you with that. Conscious of time, I have a call literally on the half, but Anita, please ask your question quickly and then hopefully Tamara and I can cover it, or Tamara can cover it.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for hosting. So my question was really about the role of accelerators. I know, they have Antler, there used to be Techstars, Accelerate Africa, so on and so forth. And I think the standard valuation that these companies are getting to founders is around $1 million. Do you candidly think that the role of these accelerators in terms of, I guess, publicity and the opportunities far outweighs any shortage of potential being devalued? Is it something that you'd encourage, early traction founders to pursue, and that the returns they're going to get on the opportunities is something that would make up for that short change of evaluation? Or no, just work on branding, you can raise more yourself, and yeah. So that's my question.
I mean, I haven't been accepted in any accelerator. I have applied to, I think, 2 or 3. Yeah, I personally, I've tried to stay away from them purely because when you look at the terms, they are very like, they're joking you. The one that I applied to the Sequoia ARC one because it's Sequoia. I also applied to YC, I think twice. That didn't get in. But that's it. Like, I'm going for the big brand ones. I haven't applied to anything else because, like, I've seen where Sequoia ARC, like, I remember I hope we invested in a company that got into Sequoia ARC, got acquired 2 years later, and we made some money. So, like, I want to apply to Sequoia ARC too. There's a lot of them out there. You just, in my opinion, you need to pick and choose the stage that you're at. And I think that if you're applying for an accelerator, the value that they're giving you should far outweigh the equity that you're taking. And the reason why I apply to YC is because there's literally funds that will not invest in your company unless you go to YC. And when you get into YC, those funds don't ask any question, they just write you a check. So, like, I don't know any founder that struggle. Well, some have, but many don't struggle after they get into YC. There's literally a queue of funds waiting to give them money. So that's why I applied to YC. But anything else, like, I have not applied to Techstars. I haven't applied to, like, a lot of them. Tamara?
Yeah, I'm just going to add to what you said because you shared everything. I would say know your why also, right? Why exactly do you need accelerators, right? A lot of founders sometimes think, well, I need to get from the accelerator, then do this, do that. Know your why exactly. So, because especially with that evaluation, right? Just know why you are doing it in the first place. If you think that, and like Joe said, check does the value for you outweigh, every other thing that you may have to give up. Check that first. Right. I give an instance now, like what Joe said. If there's some solutions to get into, you're not going to struggle to raise. Right. People will be falling over themselves, right? And when they hear that you are going to maybe YC, they'll start writing you the check beforehand, before you even get in, right? Because you know that valuation is going to literally triple. Right. So know exactly why you are doing it in the first place. I hope this helps, Anita.
Yeah. Thank you, Tamara. Folks, I'm very sorry. We're out of time because I have to drop. One thing Tamara, I want you to maybe tell people 2 things. Tell them about Unicorn Founders and where they can find you to stay in touch.
Okay, so hi everyone. So 5 years ago, I set up a community to support founders. That community eventually blossomed into a network of founders, investors, and operators in the tech ecosystem. So I mean, currently we are invite and referral only, and we do that because Joe is one of our wonderful members, right? We do that so that we ensure that we are getting, to ensure to control the quality of people that are coming in, and that just also a little way of vetting people, right? To be sure that anyone who does business with anybody in the community, I mean, you get a standard seal of approval. So yeah, that's the deal about Unicorn Founders. Our goal is really to nurture and support, founders, and we've done this via working with, accelerators that are always looking for deal flows, investors, scouts, right? So we've all our goal and everything we've done is just really to focus and prioritize support of founders, right? So where can I be reached? I am Tamara Posibi across all platforms. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I am also happy to drop my email if you want to reach out to me personally. So yeah, thanks a lot, Joe, for having me here.
Thank you so much for your time, the insights. I learned a lot, although I'm your I'm your host. I've learned quite a bit, and I'm super grateful
Pleasure.
for your time. I know this was supposed to be an hour, but every single time we come here, there is always like we end up going over time. So for folks who are here, if you found this useful, please do connect with Tamara, send her an email. She runs a great advisory firm. Please use their services. You will not regret it. Tamara, I look forward to doing something with you again soon.
Yes, I do. Same here as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. And for those who are wondering what this series is about, we're going to Africa Tech Summit in 2 weeks. And this is essentially Road to ATS. If you're a founder going to ATS, we'd love to catch up with you in person if you'll be there. We also have a community code that you can use, or discount code you can use if you're going to ATS. What that means is, in short, it'll be cheaper for you. So, you should definitely use the code. And the code is obviously Borderless. For those who don't know, we are a platform that allows investors to come together and invest in companies like yours. We build that technology. So if you've used AngelList or Sidecar before, we're building the same for Africa and the diaspora. And we have a ton of tools for deal owners. You can set up your collective. You can manage multiple collectives. You can manage your members, investor accreditation, reporting, fund collection, the whole thing. So that's what Borderless is. And so that's the part that we've built for investment communities or investors. We also have a product called Raised by Borderless. If you haven't heard about it, you're hearing about it here for the first time. Raise is essentially the product that we've built for founders to raise from their friends and family. So essentially, it's like setting up your own mini collective as you're going through that fundraising journey. What we do is we get on a call with you, we help you set up a page, and then we give you a link. That link, what it does is when you speak to that rich uncle who wants to give you money, but they don't want to sign a ton of paperwork, you send them that link and we take care of the entire process. We do have the website that I can share with you here. Do check it out and let me know if Raise could be something that you would be interested in using. We want to make that fundraising process much easier for all founders. Like, I use the product myself. We're helping a couple of founders at the moment. And if you think it's something that could be useful for you, do check out the website. And yeah, next week, we're doing a pitch review lab. So if you're a founder, you want to pitch your company in front of an audience, do sign up because it's going to be dope. Like 2-3 minutes, we're going to have 1 or 2 investors that will give you feedback, tangible feedback. So please, if you're interested, just the same link that you've used to sign up for this, it'll be the same. We'll share more information around the VCs that will be here. It's a good way to practice your pitch. Very simple, but I really recommend joining. We're also going to have some other companies. So we'll share more about this event over the next couple of days. If you see it online, share it. Some founders can benefit from it, please. So please do share it with your friends and family. And if you want to pitch, there will be a form that you can fill in the details, and then you can come and pitch, hopefully, to your future investors. Yeah, I think that's it. I have to jump on another call. Thank you all for joining. Just in case you don't know me, you should know where to find me. It's Joe Kinvi on all socials, including TikTok. Yeah, well, this is my LinkedIn. And here's all the information here. Thank you all. I will see you on the next call next week. Bye.